Welcome guys to CDLA, and I'm excited to share with you my journey, my transition, my struggles from becoming a CDLA truck driver to an electrical lineman apprentice. And I must add, an electrical lineman apprentice over 40 for you guys who are my age that think it's too late. It's not. I've been with the apprenticeship for 4 weeks, and from the application process all the way up until now, it's been quite a challenge. And I want to share with you the ups and downs and everything in between. Whether you're thinking about a career change or curious about the apprenticeship process, I hope my story resonates with you. First challenge I faced was trying to get the application process complete or accepted. When I filled out the application, for some reason, I received information that my application has been rejected or not accepted. So I reached out through email to figure out what was going on, and they told me that the application actually went through and I'm pending an aptitude test. In fact, I did check the website and it did show that my application was accepted. But that's when I was faced with the next issue, waiting for a response for my aptitude test to be scheduled. Now, that was in January when I filled out the application. 2 months had passed and I was still waiting for a response about my aptitude test being scheduled. So in March, I reached out and asked, is there any indication to know when the aptitude test will be scheduled and things like that? Because I wanted to make sure I had time to study for the math and the reading portion of the aptitude test. So I was reaching out through email to ask, when will the aptitude test be? And the response I got in the email was just to keep checking my email. Just keep checking. So every day I was checking my email, and that was kind of like torture in itself. I'm waking up every day, looking in my email, making sure I check my junk folders to be sure I do not miss this aptitude test. The long wait felt excruciating, and it felt uncertain that I would even be invited to take the aptitude test. Just a quick side note, what I use to prepare for the aptitude test is an online resource called iPrep. iPrep.online. iPrep is spelled I-P-R-E-P. I think this is one of the best resources to study for the electrical aptitude test. Electrical lineman aptitude test. I think it prepares you for both. All right, now let's do a quick recap. In January, I filled out the application. In March, I reached out to figure out when the aptitude test will be, and I was told to keep checking my email. Now, in June, I received the email telling me that my application has been rejected because I didn't show up to the aptitude test. I had literally missed the aptitude test by 1 day. And let me tell you how I figured it out. While I was waiting for the aptitude test, I was also filling out applications for other truck driving jobs. So how truck driving jobs go is when you fill out an application, a recruiter will reach out to you to let you know what the job entails and if you want to accept the job and if you want to move forward with the application process. So a recruiter usually reach out to you. So I happened to be checking my junk mail and I thought a recruiter was reaching back to me because the email said TQ Recruit. The email looked like it came from TQ Recruit. So I thought it was a truck driving place. And so when I opened the email, that email had said that I had an aptitude test, and that aptitude test was already passed. So I wasn't expecting the electrical email to come from a TQ Recruit company. I thought it would say something like electrical lineman or LBAT or something like that. And that's how I missed the email, because it came from TQ Recruit. So I reached back out through email and let them know the oversight I had. And they actually emailed me back and told me they put me back on the list for an aptitude test. Now, the only thing is that I didn't know how long it was going to take. Was it going to take another 5 months for me to be back to take an aptitude test? And that was the other challenge I faced mentally, like not knowing. So 2 months after that, in August, I had been invited back to take an aptitude test. So I had to wait 2 months. That wasn't very long looking at the overall scheme of things. So I took that test in August, and I had to drive about an hour and a half to 2 hours away to go take the test at the district that I was in. So that was another thing. I had to travel, a little bit to go take the test. So after taking the aptitude test in August, in October, I received an email that I had been invited to take an in-person interview. And the in-person interview was scheduled for November. So from the start of the application process in January, it took all the way to November to receive in-person interview. So what is that, 9 to 10 months? So yes, it is a very long waiting game, and it's a very slow process, in my opinion. After my interview in November, I had been hired the next day, which I found out from other apprentices is not usually typical. Other apprentices have told me they have taken their in-person interview and it still took them a whole year to receive a call that they've been accepted into the apprenticeship. So I took my interview and I got accepted the next day. I want to make it very clear, I am not bragging at all. This is just what happened, and I'm very thankful that this happened for me in this way. And I'm very lucky and very fortunate, and I feel very blessed, and I really, really appreciate this opportunity. Now, my next challenge was the initial investment, because I was under the impression, I also had been told that I would need a basic set of tools. They gave me a list of the basic set of tools I would need, and I was told that apprentices usually get about 2 weeks to start getting their tools and boots and clothing, because that gives them a chance to get a couple paychecks underneath their belt. But this is what happened to me. After I had been hired, I received a text message that they may have a storm call, which, a storm is like if a storm goes through a state or a city and knocks out their electrical power, then you could go there and work it, and you will actually get paid, time and a half to double time as your straight time. So I had received that text message that they have a possible storm call and would I like to go, and they need to know in the next 15 minutes. Me being new, I didn't know what was expected. So I called and say, hey, I would like to go, but what would I need? And so I was told that I would need all my tools on my list and my boots and things like that. I told him I don't have it, so I'll just wait, because, after the 2 weeks is up, I'll start getting my things. And what the guy told me on the phone was, well, you're going to need them Monday anyway. And Monday was within the next 4 days. Yeah, when they called me, they told me, hey, you're hired. You're ready to go to work. We need you to start as soon as possible. So they told me I needed those tools by Monday, and this was the next challenge, getting these tools and getting these things ready to go. So I asked him how much would I need to spend, and he was like, you're gonna spend around $2,000. So that initial investment was very tough. I had to get tools on the list that they were telling me to get. I had to get fire retardant clothing, and I needed to get boots. Now the tools, the tool list was very general, and I'll actually put the link down below of what helped me get my tools to another video that I found. But this was very challenging because when I was going back and forth to Home Depot and Lowe's, they didn't have some of the things that I needed. And I didn't know if these were the right tools and things like that. So I'd be going to Home Depot. Home Depot don't have it. I go to Lowe's. Lowe's don't have it. I go back to Home Depot and I get the best choice that I thought that I could take. So I got all those tools, and then I needed to get boots. I needed to get a pair of regular boots and climbing boots. And each pair of boots cost $250 to $300. Then I had to go get fire retardant clothing, and not everybody carries fire retardant clothing. So I ended up going to an army supply store, and they had the fire retardant clothing. And to get a basic shirt cost like $150. To get a basic pair of pants cost like $150. And my thought, I would get dirty and things like that. So I wanted to get at least 2 shirts and 2 pairs of pants. And so that was already $400 plus. So that was very challenging. Like that initial investment of paying for the things you need and finding it. Hopefully there's a store in your area, if you ever run into this situation, to find the tools and clothing and boots that you need. So that initial investment is definitely one of the biggest challenges you will face if you don't already have these things. Now, although I am glad that I did get these tools and these fire retardant clothing and these boots and everything, I don't believe I needed the tools, because when I came to the job sites for the first day, I wasn't the one doing all the work, and there was already tools there that the guys were using, and I'm pretty much standing there and observing the other apprentices that had more experiences and that was further along in their apprenticeship journey do the work. And I was mainly just observing. So I believe I only really needed the boots and maybe the fire retardant clothing, but not necessarily the tools. Maybe if anything, I would say you would need like one skinning knife, one Hawk Bill skinning knife, a measuring tape, and a hammer, Klein pliers, some pliers. Klein's is a brand, but you need some pliers. LINEMAN's pliers, they're called. And maybe an insulating ratcheting wrench. That's about 5 items I think you will probably need when you first begin, and not because you're going to use them, because you're going to be able to help the people who will use them. So if they need something, you could just hand it to them. Here you go. Also, although I bought tools, fire retardant, clothing, boots, there's still more tools that I need to buy. So I do have my basic set of tools, but as I'm out there working in the field and see other apprentices work, and I see there's other tools that I can accumulate through time that I need to get. But other than that, the very next thing I'll need to get is climbing gear for the utility poles. I heard they will provide them for me at the school to borrow to climb, but I will need to buy my own climbers gear once I get out in the field and start climbing on my own. And I believe that's about a $600 to $1,000 investment on its own. So yeah, you have to buy things. You have to, get your own gear. Challenge. The other challenge is traveling to the job site. Every job site and every crew I've had to work with, I've had to travel an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes. And from what I've been told, that's on average. That's just to get to the job. So you will need to travel possibly an hour to get to the job just to start it. This job does require more travel than a typical job. That's also because of the storm jobs and different things like that. So there is a district you would have to, you'll be working under, northeast, north, south, or whatever. I'm just making that up. But For example, if you work in the Northeast, there's a region where you could work any of these jobs amongst the states that's in this Northeast region. So the travel is another challenge, but for me, it's well worth it in the end. Some people may only travel, 20 miles to a job, but depending on what city you live in, it could take you 2 hours to get there because of traffic. So I put that in perspective. I'm not facing traffic and things like that, and I'm just, straight shot, 1 hour, 30 minutes this way, 1 hour, 15 minutes. And also, they did offer me like what you call a stipend or allowance that if I wanted to stay in a hotel, they would provide that for me. Another challenge I face is learning how the union, the LBAT school, and your job duty works all cohesively, because I didn't understand how this works, and I still really don't understand how it all works. I'm still learning it, and so that's why I ask questions to other apprentices, and also of the people who have completed the apprenticeship, because one, you are getting accepted through LBAT as a student. That's where I worked through as far as school, LBAT. So this is my apprenticeship school, and then I'm being represented by a local union, and that local union helps me get the job that I have. So you're working with three different things here, and I didn't understand that clearly at first. So, and then when you go to the school, they're going to teach you how to climb and different things like that. And also, when I work at my job, I have to log hours and tell and describe what I've done for that day. So I really didn't know all this, but I started learning this through other apprentices. And they did also tell me that once I start LBAT school for the climbing school, that they will teach me these things. Now, the LBAT school is a 3 weeks climbing school. From what I understand, you will learn how to climb poles and work on the utility poles and things like that. I don't know what else is included in that, math, measuring. I don't know. I'll find that out once I get there. Also, I will have to take one class every month at the Union Hall. So you got the LBAT school, the Union Hall. The Union Hall will take one class a week, and I went to one class already, and from what I figured out, you do all your studying up until you get to this class, and then you will take as many tests as you can, as many chapter tests as you can, and pass those to get your book work done and get, to be certified as this chapter has been done. And you'll be getting your work hours through your job. So you need to complete 7,000 hours of hands-on working hours. So you'll be doing that. But like I say, I'm still learning all of this. Like I said, I've been in working with the apprenticeship and my job for 4 weeks now, and I still haven't been to climbing school. From what people are telling me is it usually takes about 2 months to get invited to the climbing school. And the reason why I'm saying all this is that it's a challenge to know all this information. You're working, you don't know what to expect. You're getting a lot of different emails telling you to download certain apps, to log certain hours. And in this case, I just ask the people, around me, what is this email I got? Are you familiar with this? And if so, can you please help me with this? But yes, it's a challenge because you're receiving a ton of information. You don't receive all the information up front. It's like you're receiving it as you go along. So you have to stay connected. You have to make sure you keep looking in your emails and keep up to date of what's going on so that you don't get lost or miss anything. The other challenge is the tool terminology, or what they call the names of the tools, because You might be working with somebody and they might say, hey, go grab that real pen. Or somebody else might say, go grab the real stick. And then you got another person that'll say, hey, can you go grab that donkey dick? Yeah, excuse my language, but this is all true. So everybody use different terminology for different things. And so this is confusing. And when you working with a certain foreman or a certain somebody, you have to, go by what they call it, so that when somebody's asking you to grab something, you can go get it. You can be, not take too long to grab these things. And so, yes, the tool terminology is another big struggle. And I haven't even been out the state yet. So people say, hey, if you go out of state and work, they might call it something different. So there's 50 different names for one thing. Another challenge you will face, which I didn't mention, is that you will need to pay for books. You have to pay for books that will get you through your apprenticeship. And I believe there's about 4 different books you have to purchase depending on where you at in the stage of your apprenticeship. So like your first year, your second year, or third year, and things like that. So I believe there's 4 books. Don't quote me on this. Like I said, I'm still learning, but I believe each book could cost about $600. So that's another investment you got to make. But this is, in my opinion, better than going to college collecting $30,000 of school debt and things like that. These are all the challenges that I'm facing now. And it's just a lot of information. It can be an overwhelming amount of information, but that's what we get paid the big bucks for. And so I'm in it to win it. And even though this is a challenge, you can't grow without being challenged. You can't grow without resistance. So I just wanted to share that with you. I'm not complaining. I just want you guys to be aware of some of these things I haven't been aware of. So if you're interested and you want to join the apprenticeship and are curious about a career change or anything like that, you can go ahead and go forward with your goals and kind of know what to expect and maneuver it without too much struggle. I did that so you don't have to go through that. All right, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Remember to look at those links below that I provided. They will help you in your journey. CDLA. Remember, you are the captain of your ship.